The old abandoned mansion stood tall and eerie, surrounded by overgrown trees and bushes that seemed to reach out and grab at anyone who dared to approach. It had been vacant for decades, but the rumors that surrounded it never died down. The townspeople whispered of the strange occurrences that happened within the walls of the mansion, and many believed that it was cursed. One day, a group of 6 friends decided to explore the mansion. They were thrill seekers and loved nothing more than a good scare. They arrived at the mansion just as the sun was beginning to set, and as they approached the entrance, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The front door creaked open as they pushed it, and they stepped into the darkness. The only light that filtered in was from the setting sun, and it cast eerie shadows on the walls. They could hear the sound of their footsteps echoing through the empty halls, and the creaking of the old wooden floors under their feet. As they made their way through the mansion, they started to feel a sense of unease. They couldn't shake the feeling that they were being followed. They heard strange noises coming from the walls and the floors, and at one point, they thought they saw a figure moving in the shadows. Despite their fear, the group pushed on, eager to explore every inch of the mansion. They entered a room that was covered in dust and cobwebs, and as they searched through the debris, they found an old diary. The diary belonged to the previous owner of the mansion, and it detailed the strange occurrences that had plagued her family while they lived there. The more they read, the more terrified they became. The diary spoke of strange sounds that came from the walls, and the feeling of being watched. It also mentioned a curse that had been placed on the mansion by a group of witches who had been burned at the stake on the property. As they read on, they heard a loud crash coming from upstairs. The group rushed to investigate and found that a piece of the ceiling had collapsed, revealing a hidden room. They cautiously made their way inside, and what they found was beyond their wildest nightmares. The room was covered in symbols and strange markings, and at the center of the room was a dark altar. It was clear that the previous owner of the mansion had been involved in some kind of ritual, and the group realized that they had stumbled upon something truly evil. Suddenly, the door to the room slammed shut, and the group was trapped inside. They could hear the sound of chanting coming from outside, and they knew that they were not alone. The mansion was alive, and it was angry. The group frantically searched for a way out, but every door and window was sealed shut. They were trapped, and they knew that they were running out of time. They could feel the evil presence closing in on them, and they knew that they had to act fast if they wanted to survive. They worked together, trying to solve the mystery of the mansion and the curse that seemed to be consuming it. They discovered that the previous owner had made a deal with the devil, sacrificing her family in exchange for power and wealth. They realized that they had to break the curse if they wanted to escape alive. Using the diary as a guide, the group performed a ritual to break the curse, but they soon realized that it was not enough. The evil that had taken hold of the mansion was too powerful, and it would not be defeated so easily. They had to face their fears and confront the evil head-on. They armed themselves with whatever they could find and made their way to the altar. They could hear the chanting getting louder, and they knew that they were running out of time. When they reached the altar, they found themselves face to face with a group of hooded figures. The figures were chanting in a language that the group could not understand, and they could feel the power emanating from the altar. The group stood their ground, ready to fight for their lives. Suddenly, the hooded figures stopped chanting and turned to face the group. The group could see that the figures had glowing red eyes, and they knew that they were not human. The figures began to move towards the group, and the group braced themselves for the fight of their lives. They fought with all their might, but the figures were too strong. The group was quickly overwhelmed, and they knew that they were about to meet their end. Just as all hope seemed lost, the group heard a loud noise coming from outside. The hooded figures stopped their attack and turned to face the door. The group seized the opportunity and ran towards the exit. As they burst through the door, they were met with the sight of the townspeople, who had come to investigate the strange occurrences at the mansion. The hooded figures disappeared into thin air, and the curse that had consumed the mansion was broken. The group collapsed onto the ground, relieved to have survived the ordeal. They looked around at the wreckage of the mansion, knowing that they had narrowly escaped with their lives. They knew that they would never forget the horrors that they had witnessed in that cursed mansion. In the days that followed, the group tried to come to terms with what had happened. They went their separate ways, but they knew that they would always be connected by the horrors that they had witnessed together. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The group tried to resume their normal lives, but they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They would often look over their shoulders, expecting to see the hooded figures lurking in the shadows. The townspeople began to avoid the mansion, believing that the curse was still lingering. Some claimed to have seen the ghost of the previous owner, wandering the halls of the mansion. Others reported hearing strange noises coming from the mansion, even though it was supposed to be empty. One night, the group received a strange package in the mail. It was a small wooden box, covered in intricate carvings. Inside the box was a note, written in the same language that the hooded figures had chanted in. The group was terrified, but they knew that they had to investigate. They met up at the mansion, hoping to find answers. They entered cautiously, aware that the curse may still be lingering. As they made their way through the mansion, they noticed that things were different. The air was thick with an ominous energy, and the walls seemed to be closing in on them. They could hear faint whispers coming from the shadows, and they knew that they were not alone. They reached the altar and found that the wooden box was meant to hold a cursed object. The group worked together to try and destroy the object, but it was too powerful. It seemed to be consuming their very souls, and they knew that they had to get out of the mansion before it was too late. As they made their way towards the exit, they were stopped by the ghost of the previous owner. She was angry, and she blamed the group for breaking the curse that had given her power. She warned them that they would pay for their actions, and then disappeared into thin air. The group ran towards the exit, knowing that they had to get out before it was too late. Just as they were about to leave, they were confronted by the hooded figures once again. The figures were more powerful than before, and the group knew that they were in serious trouble. They fought with all their might, but it seemed that the figures were invincible. The group was quickly losing hope, and they knew that they were about to meet their end. Suddenly, a beam of light shot through the mansion, illuminating everything in its path. The hooded figures disappeared, and the group was left alone in the mansion. They looked towards the source of the light and saw a figure standing in the doorway. It was an old man, dressed in a long robe. He had a kind face and a gentle demeanor. He introduced himself as a member of a secret society, tasked with protecting the world from evil. He explained that the cursed object that the group had found was a powerful artifact, capable of summoning dark forces. He thanked the group for bringing it to his attention and promised to destroy it. The group left the mansion, relieved to have escaped with their lives. They knew that they would never forget the horrors that they had witnessed, but they also knew that they had played a part in protecting the world from evil. The group ran towards the exit, knowing that they had to get out before it was too late. Just as they were about to leave, they were confronted by the hooded figures once again. The figures were more powerful than before, and the group knew that they were in serious trouble. They fought with all their might, but it seemed that the figures were invincible. The group was quickly losing hope, and they knew that they were about to meet their end. Suddenly, a beam of light shot through the mansion, illuminating everything in its path. The hooded figures disappeared, and the group was left alone in the mansion. They looked towards the source of the light and saw a figure standing in the doorway. It was an old man, dressed in a long robe. He had a kind face and a gentle demeanor. He introduced himself as a member of a secret society, tasked with protecting the world from evil. He explained that the cursed object that the group had found was a powerful artifact, capable of summoning dark forces. He thanked the group for bringing it to his attention and promised to destroy it. The group left the mansion, relieved to have escaped with their lives. They knew that they would never forget the horrors that they had witnessed, but they also knew that they had played a part in protecting the world from evil. As they walked away from the mansion, the group couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. They had come face to face with pure evil, and they knew that there were other cursed objects out there, waiting to be discovered. The old man had warned them that they could never let their guard down, that evil was always lurking in the shadows, waiting for its chance to strike. The group had been given a glimpse into a world that they never knew existed, a world of secret societies and ancient artifacts. They knew that they couldn't go back to their normal lives, not after what they had seen. They had to stay vigilant, always on the lookout for signs of the supernatural. As the days turned into weeks, the group struggled to adjust to their new reality. They were haunted by nightmares of the cursed mansion and the hooded figures that had tried to kill them. They found themselves constantly looking over their shoulders, afraid that they were being followed. Despite their fears, the group refused to let the evil they had encountered defeat them. They continued to research the supernatural, determined to learn as much as they could about the dark forces that threatened the world. They discovered that the old man who had saved them from the cursed mansion was part of a larger organization, tasked with protecting the world from evil. They knew that they had to find a way to join this organization, to become part of the fight against darkness. It wasn't easy, but the group eventually found their way into the secret society. They were given new identities and trained in the art of combat and magic. They became part of a larger network of warriors, united in their fight against the forces of darkness. Over the years, the group went on many missions, facing countless supernatural threats. They battled demons, ghosts, and monsters, always fighting for the greater good. Despite the danger, the group knew that they had found their true calling. They had found a purpose in life, a reason to keep fighting even when the odds were stacked against them. And as they looked back on their journey, they knew that they had been forever changed by their encounter with the cursed mansion. They had been forced to confront their deepest fears and had emerged stronger for it. In the end, the group realized that they had been chosen by fate to fight against evil. They were the protectors of the world, and they would always be ready to face whatever darkness came their way. As the years went by, the group continued to hone their skills and develop new ones. They learned how to track down and locate supernatural threats, how to use ancient spells and magic to defeat them, and how to work together seamlessly in the heat of battle. Their fame grew, and they became known throughout the land as the protectors of the innocent. They received requests for help from all corners of the world, and they never turned down a mission, no matter how dangerous. But with great power comes great responsibility, and the group knew that they had to be careful not to let their success go to their heads. They remained humble and focused on their mission, always remembering the sacrifices that had led them to where they were. As the group grew older, some of them decided to retire and pass on their knowledge to the next generation. They took on apprentices and taught them everything they knew, ensuring that the fight against evil would continue long after they were gone. But no matter how many new warriors joined their ranks, the original members of the group remained the heart and soul of the organization. They continued to lead as the years passed. The group faced others to take up the mantle and join the fight. They battled ancient gods, dark sorcerers, and even the end of the world itself. But no matter how dire the situation, they never lost hope. They knew that as long as they remained united and true to their cause, they would emerge victorious. And in the end, they did. They defeated every supernatural threat that came their way, and they did it with honor, courage, and selflessness. They had become legends in their own time, and their legacy would live on for generations to come. As for the cursed mansion that had started it all, it remained empty and abandoned for many years. But one day, a new group of adventurers stumbled upon it and decided to explore its secrets. They had heard the legends of the group who had once braved its halls, and they were eager to follow in their footsteps. As they made their way through the mansion, they encountered many of the same dangers that the original group had faced. But they were well prepared, thanks to the teachings of the warriors who had come before them. As the new group of adventurers explored the cursed mansion, they marveled at the same things the original group had: the grandeur of the architecture, the intricate details of the furnishings, and the eerie aura that permeated the atmosphere. They had prepared extensively for the mission, training in the arts of combat and magic, and gathering information about the mansion's history and the supernatural entities that lurked within its walls. But despite their preparations, they found themselves facing challenges that were far more formidable than they had anticipated. The ghosts that haunted the mansion were more malevolent than they had ever imagined, and the demonic entities that stalked its halls were more powerful than they had ever encountered before. But the new group was determined to succeed where others had failed. They were not afraid to face their deepest fears and confront the darkness that lay within the mansion. They knew that they had a duty to protect the innocent, just as the original group had done before them. And so, they fought with all their might, using every skill and technique they had learned to defeat the supernatural threats that stood in their way. They battled demons, vanquished ghosts, and dismantled the dark magic that had been woven into the mansion's walls. As they progressed through the mansion, they began to uncover secrets that had been buried for centuries. They discovered hidden chambers and ancient tomes that contained spells and incantations that had long been forgotten. And as they delved deeper into the mansion's mysteries, they realized that they were not just fighting to protect the innocent, they were fighting to save the world itself. For they had stumbled upon an ancient prophecy, one that foretold of a great cataclysm that would consume the world in darkness. The curse that had plagued the mansion was just a small part of a much larger plan, one that would bring about the end of all things. The new group of adventurers knew that they were the only ones who could stop the prophecy from coming to fruition. They had to find a way to break the curse and defeat the dark forces that threatened the world. And so, they redoubled their efforts, pushing themselves to their limits and beyond. They studied the ancient tomes and delved into the mansion's darkest secrets, determined to uncover the key to stopping the cataclysm. And in the end, their efforts paid off. They found the key to breaking the curse, and they defeated the dark sorcerer who had been behind it all. The world was saved, and the new group of adventurers became heroes in their own right. They had proven themselves worthy of following in the footsteps of the original group, and they had saved the world from certain destruction. But they knew that their work was not yet done. They had to remain vigilant, for there were always new threats on the horizon, and evil never truly slept. And so, they continued to train and prepare for whatever dangers lay ahead, knowing that they had a duty to protect the world and all its inhabitants. The cursed mansion had been the starting point for both groups of adventurers, and it had taught them all valuable lessons about the importance of courage, determination, and selflessness. And so, they redoubled their efforts, pushing themselves to their limits and beyond. They studied the ancient tomes and delved into the mansion's darkest secrets, determined to uncover the key to stopping the cataclysm. And in the end, their efforts paid off. They found the key to breaking the curse, and they defeated the dark sorcerer who had been behind it all. The world was saved, and the new group of adventurers became heroes in their own right. They had proven themselves worthy of following in the footsteps of the original group, and they had saved the world from certain destruction. But they knew that their work was not yet done. They had to remain vigilant, for there were always new threats on the horizon, and evil never truly slept. And so, they continued to train and prepare for whatever dangers lay ahead, knowing that they had a duty to protect the world and all its inhabitants. The cursed mansion had been the starting point for both groups of adventurers, and it had taught them all valuable lessons about the importance of courage, determination, and selflessness. Continue more 3,000 words. As time passed, the cursed mansion became a symbol of hope for all those who faced impossible odds. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of places, there was always a chance to overcome evil and emerge victorious. The new group of adventurers continued to explore the mansion's secrets, uncovering new mysteries and fighting new battles. But they always remembered the sacrifices of those who had come before them, and they honored their legacy with every step they took. And as the years went by, the cursed mansion became a place of pilgrimage for all those who sought to follow in the footsteps of the original group. People came from far and wide to pay their respects and to learn from the lessons of the past. The mansion itself became a beacon of light in a world that was often dark and uncertain. It reminded people that even in the face of overwhelming odds, there was always a way to prevail. And the group that had started it all, the warriors who had faced down the curse and emerged victorious, remained a source of inspiration for generations to come. They had shown the world what it truly meant to be a hero, and their legacy would never be forgotten. In the end, the cursed mansion had become much more than just a haunted house. It was a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of courage, determination, and selflessness. And it would continue to inspire generations of adventurers and warriors for centuries to come.